Hello there, people. Told you that I was gonna do that Q&A. I'd let you guys decide the topics. And well, kind of went over the deadline there, but got a few extra questions as a result. So I think that we are going to definitely dig into this. So without further ado, let's start with well, this one. Oh God, multi-topic. For your asking video for topics. Okay, hate to be that guy, but people are probably going to be asking about the recent Dragon Ball stuff anyway, so might as well get them all out of the way right now. What's your opinion on, okay, I'll take this in order, Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods? Haven't seen it yet. Still haven't seen it. Haven't seen it. Gonna watch it. Probably tonight or tomorrow night, and maybe I'll review it. Maybe. Possibly. I don't know. Okay, Dragon Ball Xenoverse, looking good so far. I'm slightly disappointed that they're, putting in the GT crap and the extra transformations and it's just, especially since I don't know why people are so happy that they're in there now, because just because a freaking character in the series has it doesn't mean that your character is automatically going to have it. I'm seriously doubting custom characters are going to get more than Super Saiyan level 1. I'll say that right now. Because otherwise it would be so beyond impossibly imbalanced to to do the game, really. I mean, you'd have them with like 4 or 5 transformations, and then everyone else has none, one maybe. Okay, here we go. Um, Dragon Ball Z Battle of Z, not a bad game for its genre, and I think that's something that a lot of people miss. It was not a traditional fighter. It was never going to play like a Dragon Ball Z fighter. It is, for all intents and purposes, an almost direct arcade port, or a console port of the arcade game, you know, Zenkai Battle Royale. And very heavy emphasis on co-op, which at an arcade cabinet it would be. So, it's just one of those things. Um, Honestly, I think that it's not as bad as people make it out to be. Nothing 100% stellar either. I wouldn't pay full price for it. I'll leave it at that. Um, and DB minus, never got to read it. I got some feedback from it, never got to read it, so I can't really comment on that. Okay, moving on. Oh, we're just gonna get controversial, aren't we? What are your opinions on the whole Zoe Quinn gaming journalism, Gamergate controversy that's been blowing up lately? Okay, this is a really big topic to even cover. I'm debating talking about this at length another day when I have a bit more energy. In case you can't tell, it's dark out. It's already late, and I got some stuff I gotta do yet tonight. Yay! But I will say this: Zoe Quinn, the fact that she slept with whoever, not a big deal. The fact that she slept with people and was seen, hanging out with said people and everything. People try to say there's a whole timeline and them sleeping together predates when he promoted her game for the dude at Kotaku. Not necessarily the case. They also were hanging out before that as well. And there are these people donating to her Patreon that are then promoting her game, and it's like the fact that she had slept with them is irrelevant. I don't really think highly of people who cheat. She did break her own admitted, stated set of values for that. By her own standards, she actually did commit rape, believe it or not, and she admits it, but only to the guy that she did it to, not to the public. She'll hide, and but all that aside, this is really just for by and large people sick of the nepotism and the backroom deals and the favors and the you know all this of gaming journalism. And especially since a gaming journalist really doesn't necessarily need any qualifications. All you need to do is write some stuff about games, write a few articles about how they're made, get a few developers to agree to interview you or do an interview with you, and which really isn't hard, especially since they're usually only like short 10 to 15-minute interviews tops. And I mean, it might be harder for some of the big name guys, but yeah, it's, there's not a whole lot of qualification, and yet they're acting like, they're needed, they're above everyone else. Don't even get me started on Leigh Alexander and what she said, but it's, and, you have one of the guys at Gawker talking about how now we need to bring back bullying and nerds have to be bullied into submission for the betterment of everyone else, yada yada. It's really getting out of control, and it's really getting ridiculous as well. So this is a movement that needed to happen. It is happening. It's gaining strength. Um, they brought it into the mainstream media, trying to get public disapproval, and yet the public is, for the most part, actually, as they do more research about this, agreeing with it. There are even people who, on the surface, disagree with it, who have later agreed with it when they did more digging. It's something that really needs to stop. And for all the people throwing out all the threats here and there, it happens on both sides. And the best part is, the other side actually did go to someone's job, call them, harass them, get them fired. And he's a minority game developer, the people they were supposedly all about. Yeah. Another case of, there are people who've been completely doxxed. They've had their information sent to them. They've told them horrible things could happen to your family if you don't know when to back out, stuff like that. And there is email proof of this. Yet the other side, all you get from them for the most part for proof is a series of tweets clustered together with bizarrely specific usernames that they just happen to, take a screenshot of. That again are all clustered together and within a very short amount of time before they made that post too. So it's, I mean, I'm not going to say that it hasn't happened because there are some people who are douchebags. There are also some people who are neutral, technically speaking, who are actually screwing with both sides just because they like to stir the pot and watch it boil. So, but the reason that this is going on is good, and it needs to keep going. All right. Do you think the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going downhill, and what complaint do you have with it? I'm actually kind of glad I waited to to talk about this now. Yeah, it is going to go downhill fast, and it's because of what they just announced. Everything, every storyline, every plot thread that they have been putting down in the MCU for the last several movies is going to get put on hold. Oh, God. Okay, first of all, let's talk about Ant-Man. Ant-Man was a movie that really nobody really necessarily wanted, per se. I mean, he has his fans, and I'm sure they're very happy about it. But the public at large, they're not going to know who he is. He's not even a recognized name. Then the people, though, who do, for the most part, at least have a passing knowledge of him, know Hank Pym as Ant-Man, and then they go with Scott Lang, as per the request of Edgar Wright, who is no longer with them. So, but they do that. They strip Hank Pym's role as Ultron's creator. I'm hoping against hope that they will try to salvage that somehow and like put something in there that states that Stark just creates the body and Pym created the AI, something like they did in Earth's Mightiest Heroes, something like that. Co-made, I can deal with. Tony making like the whole thing himself. Nah. And even if they do the co-made with Tony and someone else, you got Pym there. Pym exists. And even if you can't do the hero thing, you can at least acknowledge that he's a genius inventor, makes very advanced AI, created the Ultron AI. It's that simple. It would also explain why he's willing to basically semi-mentor Mr. Lang and give him his suit. I feel guilty. I helped create that thing. I want you to do this to help, make up for the mistakes I've made, etc., so on and so forth. I'm hoping they'll do that, but I'm doubting it. Then there's Doctor Strange, being directed by Scott Derrickson. That is a high point. That I am very, very much looking forward to, because that is going to be awesome. Because it's a perfect fit. When you're doing something supernatural like that, Scott Derrickson, boom, beautiful. But then came Captain America 3, and I was really looking forward to that. And I was really looking forward to what they might do. And I was really looking forward to, the resuming the hunt for Bucky, and trying to, resolve that. And then they announced that Robert Downey Jr. is joining the cast, and that's being fast-tracked for the Civil War story. So Thanos, backseat. Bucky, backseat. Now, see, here's the thing. This should not be... Okay, you know what? There's another question that touches on that, and I'm going to get to that later. All right? But this is a very bad idea. The Civil War really does not make sense in the context of this universe. There's no reason for a superhero registration act. Pretty much everyone who's a hero, they know who they are, they know their name, they know their identity. They've never really exhibited any kind of resistance toward helping the people of Earth. It's not like the supervillains are going to be a huge threat either, because again, they know who they are. And most of them in Marvel Studios movies are dead. Yay! And there's just no reason any of them would realistically support it, especially after the corruption with S.H.I.E.L.D. And, they wouldn't trust the government again. And, but especially Tony. I mean, Tony, especially what he said in Iron Man 2, no, he wouldn't be for this. Not MCU Tony. He wouldn't. But he's going to be. In fact, he's even outright being sold as the villain of the movie. Yeah, it's kind of going downhill. All right. Okay. Dragon Ball manga. What about it? It's not really a question, dude. That's kind of a statement. All right. Have you seen Battle Gods yet? And have you read the Dragon Ball? Okay. No, I already covered that. Not to brush by you. I haven't done either of those yet. So, okay. Are there any anime you've been watching recently? Some. Yes. I started watching Tokyo Ghoul. I have not gotten through it all yet. I know it's all done, and I know, yes, haha, you late, etc., etc. But I personally haven't gotten through it yet. I watched like the first 3 episodes on Hulu, I think. It's pretty good so far, but we'll see how well that lasts. Started watching Tokyo Majin again, and that is seriously that is a very underloved series. But anyway, um, still watching Zand because I love it, and I did recently watch and finish Noragami, and I actually really liked it. It was good. It was funny, and it managed to be, mature, but not like adult stuff. Like mature. Like had some mature elements, mature humor, but you didn't have to have anyone completely stripped down to their underwear every 5 seconds. You didn't have to have constant boob physics jokes. You didn't have to have fan service coming out the wazoo, and they managed to tell a pretty good story and some really good animation, and I loved that. I love that about it. So I definitely recommend people go watch that. But yeah, that's about it that I've actually been watching lately. Why must people like about Spider-Man 2 being a good film? I'm not sure if you're asking what do people like about it, or if you meant to type lie. Honestly, it is subjective. I mean, you're gonna like whatever you like, but there are some objective problems with it. I don't know why people won't admit it. Honestly, I think Sam Raimi has a lot to do with it. I do, because Raimi's considered a great director, a classic, director. He was considered a fan of the series, and they keep trying to downplay Webb as a fan of the series. And even though Webb's actually been a lot more adamant about taking stuff out of the comics, and Raimi's been a lot more adamant about, I don't know. I mean, he did take some stuff out of the comics, but he was just very willing to take it out of place, change it completely, change the meaning behind it, and just, I don't know. It was less adaptation, more reference. That's the thing. His Spider-Man movies don't really feel like adaptations to me. They feel like, just movies about a character that's loosely based around the comic. So I don't know. I don't know why people like it as much as they do. That's all I can say. All right, how do you feel about Sony doing Sinister Six and Venom movies before The Amazing Spider-Man 3? I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm okay with it. Um, they were gonna have to do Sinister Six eventually. I'm not sure how they're gonna pull it off. I don't know. Venom 2, I don't know about that either. I would have to see what they have planned before I can comment on it. Um, I don't know. There are reasons that they switched some stuff around, and there have been some rumors of some talks with someone. So I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see what comes out of that before I can really have any kind of solid opinion. So okay. What are 5 things you're looking forward to in Dragon Age Inquisition? Oh gosh, I really can't label five. Specifically, I love the fact that the worlds are so much more open now. That's going to be a nice touch. I love that they finally added mounts to the game, and I wonder if there's going to be any kind of mount combat. Are you going to be able to have a character who specializes in that? Like, are you going to be able to like create a knight or something? I don't know. I mean, of course, you're eventually probably going to lose that horse, or that horse could die, or you might have to hop off. I don't know. So I don't know. Yeah, it just adds a whole lot of possibility to the game. So there's the open worlds, there's the mounts, there's the uh, the multiplayer. That is something I'm very interested in. The dungeon crawl. It's interesting because it's a multiplayer that in no way, shape, or form affects the main storyline. It's completely separate from it. I don't even think you can build a custom character in it. I think it's like a set character avatar. The loot you get from it doesn't really carry into the, so you can't really use it to cheat or anything. It's just something that you can hop in and do with friends, and it's got its own little mini quest, and also little side quests you uncover along the way, and I think that's pretty awesome. I like the fact that the animation and the combat is a bit more intense, like it was in Dragon Age 2. Now I know a lot of people don't like necessarily Dragon Age 2, and I didn't really like the interface too much. I actually prefer the console version a little bit, I think, for Dragon Age 2. I mean, at least in terms of, hitting the button to do the attack. But, but, sorry. But I do like, the animations seem to be there, and they were a bit more intense and they felt more, so I'm kind of glad, sorry, kind of glad that's there. Crafting. Oh, okay, I can get to five, I think. Yeah, crafting is another interesting idea. Being able to craft unique weapons and armor, or even just craft weapons and armor and then sell it. You know, potions. Crafting's been seriously expanded, and I'm all for that. And hmm, the customization. I like that they brought back the customization from Origins. In terms of now you can customize your party instead of having this one set of armor or whatever that leveled up with them, which or only increased in ability as you found those runes or whatever to slip into them that were hard as heck to find. At least unless you did a lot of side questing. But yeah. So probably that. Number two, what anime manga series would you like to cross over with DBZ? None. None. Absolutely none. What are your thoughts on Sony's current plans for the Amazing Spider-Man movies? Kind of touched on that. We don't know their plans, so. Okay. Do you think Dragon Ball Xenoverse will do Battle of Gods? And if so, what can they do with it? Well, I think they might. Just because, that's the newest movie. It did really well over there in Japan. Not really sure why they wouldn't put it in. I mean, GT made the cut. And GT is like so thoroughly not canon at this point that you're in denial if you try to argue it is. So, I don't know. Maybe they will. I'm not even sure if the GT stuff is even storyline related or if it's just like stuff you can unlock to use in multiplayer online stuff. I don't know. All right. Do you think we should see Frieza's mom in the future? Hmm. The urge to see Frieza's mother is partly what gave us half the stupid ideas in AF. I suppose it wouldn't hurt, but I don't know. I don't see the point in it, really. I mean, who says though, too? What if they're asexual? What if King Cold, his father, is, just his father? I don't know. We don't know. So, maybe, I guess. But what's the worst thing that you think has happened in Naruto this entire arc? This entire last arc? Thoughts on the Marvel Cinematic Universe already did that, kinda. Um, Here we go. I'd really like to hear you talk about the hypocrisy of Marvel Studios fans. Um, for example, they whine about the Amazing Spider-Man 2 having three villains, but are okay with Guardians of the Galaxy having more than three, and how Rhino is only a cameo, but are okay with Batroc and Cap 2 only having a small role. Yeah, Batroc in Captain America 2 actually had less screen time than the Rhino. But there's understandable reasons, I guess, for that, though. The fact that they cast George St. Pierre, which is probably one of the reasons that he has less screen time. Though that kind of speaks to me that they'd always meant it to be a small role. So it's not like, they said, hey, you want to do this? And then he said, oh, I can't do any more, nothing like that. That being said, a lot of people don't know who Batroc is, so that's probably how they'll excuse it. It's stupid, and it is a double standard, but that's what they'll try to cling to. But now, this is what I was talking about earlier. The thing that bugs me the most is Captain America 2 did have holes. It did. It had unresolved plot threads, it had this and that, but you had another movie coming, you know? And so you figure it'll be addressed in the next movie, like a sane person would. And that's what happened with The Amazing Spider-Man. People freaked out on it though, because there were unresolved plot threads and, his parents and this and that. And it's like, they didn't drop it mid-film, they're picking up later. They even said as much. But it's one of those things where it's like, it's okay for me, but not for thee. That kind of thing. Marvel Studios can have as many villains as they want in the movie. No one will complain. Marvel Studios can leave plot threads to be resolved in the next movie. No one will complain. And that's the kicker. Because now they're not going to be resolved in the next movie. That's getting put on hold. So, yeah. Everything is getting put on hold for the sake of Civil War. And I'm sorry, I flat out refuse to let anyone try to claim that they had this planned. They didn't. This, and they even half admitted it, came out of contract talks with Robert Downey Jr. It was the only way they could get him to do more for them. It was one of the things he wanted. So there it is. Everything's getting put on hold, and they're going to rush right into a Civil War arc that won't make sense in this universe. Anyway, moving on. What are your thoughts on the following sites? ComicBookMovie.com, Badass Digest, IGN. Terrible. I'm sorry. Comic Book Movie is much the same as, a blog, really. Pretty much anyone can write and submit an article. It's hardly the most trustworthy news source. I mean, there were so many people claiming so many different things were going to be confirmed in Amazing Spider-Man 2. And that's where all these rumors came from. That's where all this negativity spun out of. And Badass Digest did it for Amazing Spider-Man 1. Peter Parker is going to be turned into Spider-Man intentionally by his father, for example. People ran with that. People are still trying to say that that's what happened, even though it's not what happened. It's ridiculous. And all this crap that came out of that wasn't even true. And first and foremost, the one that really bugs me is that he supposedly stole webbing, even though you see him get the box and pull it out with the shipping labels on it that was mailed to him. And IGN's just, their standards are all over the place. And the guy who panned the original Amazing Spider-Man gave it like a 6, gave an 8 or a 9, I think, to Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. So that should tell you something. Next, maybe you should make a video on Star Wars and how it's been doing lately. I might. I might. But I'm not going to be able to go into too much detail. Just because that is the quickest way to get trolled by every Star Wars, ultra fan out there who's going to, reference that you got this date wrong, that character wasn't there, that character was over here, that crap. So, Star Wars, take it from me, Star Wars is serious business. But, yeah, I might. Which fanbase do you despise the most? Naruto fanboys, DBZ Funny Dub fanboys? The ones that love Team 4-Star and whack off to Vegeta. Gonna have to say probably the DBZ fanboys, because at least the Naruto fanboys don't take the parodies of their series as canon. They don't look at Team 4-Star or whoever's parodying them, be it Little Karibo or whoever. They don't take them as a higher authority than the writer of the series himself. nor do they crap on said writer, talk about what a senile old fool he is, talk crap about his ability to write, etc., etc. They should. Really, those roles should be reversed, but whatever. In one of Black and his videos said that Dragon Ball Z Clone was a bad idea and making the series was milking. No, it wasn't. At this point, why wouldn't you do it? I mean, you have an opportunity to. Full Metal Alchemist did the same thing with Brotherhood. When the series was, for the most part, done, they did. They rebooted it. They told it closer to the manga version. Saw it through to the end with very little filler. I don't think that was a bad idea at all. And I mean, it's certainly not milking the franchise. It's putting out a proper adaptation, which is what this is, a proper adaptation. I don't see how anyone could really be upset about that. What do you think of the looks of Alexander and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day movie? I thought it looked worse than Ninja Turtles. No. No, sir. No, Dammy, no. Nothing looks worse than that. That is on par with Dragon Ball Evolution. Okay. No, no, no. No, 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 no. That being said, it actually looks decent considering the book it's based on. I mean, I don't know. There's really only so much you can adapt from it. Though the animated adaptation is probably still going to be the best. Are you worried about the female Spider-Man spinoff? Why would I be? There's been no red flags, nothing to worry about. Only thing I really hope is that it's not about Black Cat. If it is, I'm skipping it. I'm sorry. I will skip it faster than you can blink. Do you believe in God? Yes, I do. Why won't you answer anything Superior Spider-Man related? Because I'd like to forget that happened. And really, it's so stupid. And I've said about all I can say on it. It was a really bad idea that got drug out too long, trying to make a point that it wound up failing to make thoroughly. I mean, it had a good finale, I'll give it that, but that's all I can give it. Okay, do you believe in being skeptical of the government? Yeah. I don't think that anyone should really be 100% trusting of people in authority. Little skepticism, you gotta watch those with power, otherwise, see, you give them a little bit of that power, they like to run with that. And, you can wind up with a very bloated, very overexpanded and out of control government. And yes, I think that they do bear some watching and they need to be held accountable. It's really that simple. Have you ever watched Young Justice? No, I have not. Alright. This one's gonna be fun. I've been waiting to get to this. How can you be okay with Harry being the Goblin before Norman, but dislike what they're doing with Ant-Man? And don't use that Norman's still alive excuse because we don't know what they're planning because they don't have a plan. You're just completely biased. Okay. Here's the problem with that. First and foremost, Norman's still been pretty clearly pulling strings behind the scenes. So yeah, that's something out of the comics. For another, they had already done Norman Osborn as the Green Goblin in a film that is still in recent memory. I think they're wanting to hold off on that, and I can understand that. That being said, they did have Harry more recently, but they didn't have Harry, or rather the Green Goblin, carrying out the death of Gwen Stacy. Now, in terms of that, you had the Insane Green Goblin doing it. You had Harry, who was pushed to that point. You have Harry's father, who was a very, very terrible person. I mean, there's enough elements in place that, yeah, I'm okay with it. The problem here, though, is that Norman also was already older at that point in time. You know, it's not like they did what they did in Ant-Man, which is basically strip him of his creation of Ultron, which is one of the big things that drove him to a lot of things, including the drinking problem he had. They don't, they fast forwarded his age. He's now an old man. He couldn't possibly ever take up the role. It's also the fact that the sole reason this is happening is because Edgar Wright mandated it, because he is a fan of Scott Lang and does not like Hank Pym. So, I mean, it's not a case of like and dislike in Spider-Man. It's a case of them trying to put a new twist on the story. It's not completely kicking someone else out of the picture and then picking up his replacement when he was a founding Avenger. Which comic book character do you think is the worst fanboys? Wolverine, Batman, or Venom? Characters one. Deadpool. Seriously, it's a toss-up between Deadpool and Batman. I'm not even kidding. Okay. What are your top 5 favorite movies of all time? Oh, gosh. I honestly don't know. Never really get to. Well, I think Casablanca is probably one of them, because that movie, despite its age, holds up obscenely well. If anyone ever remakes that, they deserve to be shot. Uh, but, hmm. Uh, really love the original Ninja Turtles movie from 1990. And that one has childhood factor for me too, so that's probably one of them. Jackie Chan, New Police Story. That movie managed to be both extremely funny and extremely dramatic, and it's honestly one of the best performances I've actually seen out of Jackie Chan. So, um, off the top of my head, that's the only 3 I can really think of right now, but I might do a list like that at some point in the future. All right. What do you think of the recent news that Spider-Man Right joined the MCU, as well as this rumor that Sinister Six is going to be a Spider-Man reboot and Venom has been canceled? I think they're rumors, and that's that. I also think that it's very unlikely that they're going to quote-unquote soft reboot in the middle of a movie that is completely dependent on what came before it. Venom might be dead. I don't think it's dead, though. I think, if anything, it would be postponed, not killed. But as for Spider-Man joining the MCU, I don't know. Especially with them announcing Civil War, and they're rebooting the comics to create a more movie adaptation-friendly version, which means that characters that they don't own are probably going to be removed from prominent roles, and yet right there in the advertisement, the announcement image, they had Spider-Man right in the middle of it, being pulled between Iron Man and Captain America. So maybe he is joining the MCU. Maybe that's also why The Amazing Spider-Man 3 got pushed back to 2018. Maybe Andrew's going to be doing some filming for Marvel. Don't know. It's possible, but it's still just a rumor. Have you seen Forever? I think it's one of the best new shows on television. I have never heard of it, sir. I'm sorry. What key defining moments in the Majin Buu saga in the manga really made it outshine the cluttered anime version? Honestly, Buu period, really. Buu in the manga is a lot more, well, frankly, he's more brutal, he's more frightening, and also at the same time more funny. Maybe it's because, he's got the fright thing, but then every once in a while it cuts to a joke. Whereas the anime seemed to put in a ton of fillers of him being a joke and only got serious occasionally. Um, though really, I think when Goku went Super Saiyan 3 fighting Buu on the Kaoshin planet, and I don't know, to me that just and Vegeta's realization there, I don't know, it felt a bit more genuine that way. The anime didn't do bad either, but it's because it's sandwiched in all that filler, it's. Are you going to do a video discussing the possibility of Marvel Sony having Spider-Man in the well, probably not unless and until a certain someone is willing to help me with that. You know who you are. Neo Game Spark. Anyway, uh, maybe. We've been talking about discussing that, so. Did you bother to watch the Wolverine? I actually have not gotten a chance to yet. It's on my backlog though. But I have a friend who's a major, major Wolverine fan, and he loves that movie, so I'm gonna trust him that it's good. And the last two are basically the same thing. What do you think about Sony wanting to work with Marvel? Um, well, I can't answer that, so I don't know. It's possible, I guess. But anyways, that is it for the questions that I have here. And so I hope that helped you guys. And sorry to anyone who didn't know or didn't get a question in. But yeah, that's it for now. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will catch you later.